Live.
Thank you, Connor. Good morning. Today is Wednesday, May 14th, 2025. This is an adjudicatory hearing before the Massachusetts Gaming Commission relative to the renewal of the Category 2 gaming license issued to Plainville Gaming and Redevelopment, LLC, which does business as Plainridge Park Casino. I will refer to the applicant as PPC. My name is Jordan Maynard, and I am serving as chair of the commission. I am joined today by my colleagues, Commissioners Eileen O'Brien, Brad Hill, Nikisha Skinner, and Paul Broder. The entire commission will preside over the hearing and decision of this matter. This hearing is convened pursuant to 205 CMR 101.01, paragraph 2, subsection J, and will be conducted in accordance with 205 CMR 101.01, the informal fair hearing rules, outlined in 801 CMR 1.02 and Chapter 30A of the General Laws. I would also like to notify everyone that this proceeding is being recorded. A notice of hearing dated March 28, 2025 was issued in the matter to the licensee. Therein, it identifies the issues that this hearing is intended to address. The commission has indicated that it will specifically be considering the issues discussed in General Law Chapter 23K, Section 20F, the October 25, 2024 renewal letter from the Commission to PPC, the compliance verification statements provided by PPC and the Investigations and Enforcement Bureau suitability investigation report, including but not limited to the suitability of the operator and all relevant qualifiers. To that end, the October 25, 2024 letter from the Commission to PPC sets out the specific considerations of the Commission in deciding in this matter. They include review of the following: compliance with existing conditions of its gaming license, General Law Chapter 23K and 205 CMR, status and compliance with the host community agreement, status and compliance with the surrounding community agreements, status and compliance with the ILEV agreements, status and compliance with the approved capital expenditure plan, suitability of the individual qualifiers, suitability of entity qualifiers, including the overall suitability of the licensee, review of existing conditions of the gaming license and associated commitments and requirements, including on-site and off-site mitigation and the licensee's compliance therewith, a review of the licensee's financial suitability, the overall health, debt-to-equity ratio, and debt obligations, the support or lack thereof for the licensee and the host community, surrounding communities, the region, and or the Commonwealth as a whole, and a review of the licensee's business ability to operate a successful gaming establishment, including historical compliance with 205 CMR and General Law Chapter 23K as applicable. I see that there are a number of individuals on behalf of the licensee here today. I will ask that Mr. Soriano please identify himself and then the team. Good morning, Mr. Soriano.
Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today. Chris Soriano, Vice President, Chief Compliance Officer, Penn Entertainment, parent company of PPC. With me is PPC General Manager North Groundsel and a number of the property team members, including Heidi Yates-Akaba, Lisa McKenney, and North. Do we have anybody else from your team on here?
I believe that's all.
Okay. And thank you again, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Soriano. At the conclusion of my opening comments, this proceeding will commence with opening remarks. Both PPC and the IEB will be offered an opportunity to make a statement, though it's not required. After opening statements, we will move to the presentation of the evidence in this matter. The IEB will be called upon to present its findings and recommendation to the Commission. After the presentation of the IEB's materials, the Commission will hear from individuals in its various divisions that will speak to the licensee's compliance in a number of subject matter areas over the past 5 years. Any commissioner may ask any question of anyone presenting information at any point during or following the presentation. At the conclusion of the presentation by each witness, the licensee will be afforded an opportunity to ask questions of any individual who presented information relative to any matter addressed in the application, memo, or to which he or she spoke. At the conclusion of the Commission's presentations, the licensee will be given the same opportunity to make a presentation. They may call any witness and present any other evidence they desire. As before, any commissioner may ask any question of any witness or presenter at any time during or after the presentation. The licensee may raise any objection it desires at that time, anytime. However, the basis for those objections must be clearly stated. Finally, at the conclusion of the presentations of all the evidence, the licensee will be provided an opportunity to make closing remarks summing up their view of the evidence. Before we begin, I understand that there are a number of exhibits for consideration at this hearing that have been exchanged in advance. Those exhibits are as follows, and this is a lengthy list. A notice of hearing, an IEB letter regarding suitability investigation of Plainridge Park Casino, April 18th, 2025. Number 3, entity qualifiers documents as follows. Delvest LLC GEU checklist, Delvest LLC financial investigations checklist, GLP Capital LP GEU checklist, GLP Capital LP financial investigations checklist, GLPI GEU checklist, GLPI financial investigations checklist, Gold Merger Sub LLC GEU checklist, Gold Merger Sub LLC financial investigations checklist, Mass Gaming Ventures GEU checklist, Mass Gaming Ventures financial investigations checklist, Penn Tenant LLC GEU checklist, Penn Tenant LLC financial investigations checklist, Penn Entertainment Inc. GEU checklist, Plain Ridge Gaming and Redevelopment LLC GEU checklist, PPC Penn and subsidiaries financial investigations report. That sums up 3. Number 4, individual qualifier documents as follow. Peter Carlino GEU checklist, Peter Carlino financial investigations checklist, Todd George GEU checklist, Todd George financial investigation checklist, David Handler GEU checklist, David Handler financial investigations checklist, Felicia Hendricks GEU checklist, Felicia Hendricks financial investigations checklist, Marla Kapowitz GEU checklist, Marla Kapowitz financial investigations checklist, Brandon Moore GEU checklist, Brandon Moore financial investigations checklist, Ronald Naples GEU checklist, Ronald Naples financial investigation checklist, Saul Reibstein GEU checklist, Saul Reibstein financial investigations checklist, Christopher Rogers GEU checklist, Christopher Rogers financial investigations checklist, Jane Scassetti GEU checklist, Jane Scassetti financial investigations checklist, Barbara Shattuck Cohn GEU checklist, Barbara Shattuck Cohn financial investigations checklist, Jay Snowden GEU checklist, Jay Snowden financial investigations checklist, Chris Soriano GEU checklist, and Chris Soriano financial investigations checklist. That sums up number 4. Number 5, PPC's 2025 Gaming Agents 5-year renewal report. Number 6, Gaming Enforcement Unit compliance report. Number 7, Community Affairs Division compliance report. Number 8, Department of Revenue compliance report. Number 9, State Lottery compliance report. Number 10, Gaming Agents Division compliance report. Number 11, Workforce Supplier and Diversity Development compliance report. Number 12, Information Technology and Gaming Technical compliance report. Number 13, Division of Racing compliance report. Number 14, Division of Research and Responsible Gaming compliance report. Number 15, the Sports Wagering Division compliance report. Number 16, the Financial Division compliance report. Number 17, the Plainridge Park Casino request to renew gaming license September 26, 2024. Number 18, the Plainridge Park Casino renewal procedures letter, October 25th, 2024. Number 19, the Plainridge Park Casino signed compliance and attestations. And number 20, the public comments submitted to the commission. I may need hazard pay after that one. Are there any objections to these exhibits being marked and entered into evidence? Mr. Soriano, Mr. Mercer?
Chair, none on behalf of the licensee. We stipulate to the admissibility of the exhibits.
No objection from the IAB.
Thank you. These exhibits shall be admitted into evidence for purposes of ensuring a clean record. I ask the council and witnesses, when possible, please refer to the aforementioned exhibits by letter when referring to any of these documents. If the licensee would like to have any additional documents entered into evidence during the course of the hearing, please ensure that they are properly introduced and marked for the record. I'm not going to read them all over again if you do that either. The Commission anticipates that its inquiry in this proceeding will be related to the matters addressed in the Plainridge Park Casino Renewal Procedures Letter, October 25th, 2024, and contained in the Notice of Hearing. In the event that a line of questioning conducted by the Commission moves into an area that has not been included in the report or notice, but that is material to the final determination of this matter, the licensee or the Commission may request a recess in the proceeding in order to review the issue. The Commission will deliberate privately and make a final decision at the conclusion of the evidentiary portion of the hearing. The decision will be issued as promptly as possible. If at any point during the Commission's deliberations it determines that further testimonial or documentary evidence is desirable, it reserves the right to ask the appropriate party to provide such evidence prior to a final decision being made. We will now swear all the witnesses in. Counsel, are all the individuals you anticipate presenting testimony in this matter present on this call?
Yes, for the licensee.
Yes, for the IAB, Mr. Chair.
All right. I'll let you know that if anyone is not present and will testify, it's up to you to alert the Commission that they have not been placed under oath. I know that we have various divisions coming in at various times, so please alert me, counselors. Anyone who will be testifying at this proceeding, please raise your right hand. I have a couple pages, so let me go through them. All right. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you will provide before the Commission at this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
All right. Thank you. And for the record, all have responded in the affirmative. A proceeding of this nature necessarily requires the consideration of a wide variety of information that takes several forms. In this case, some of the information and documentation may include commercially sensitive information. The public discussion of such information may place an entity at a competitive disadvantage if such information were to be publicly discussed. For the Commission to be able to execute its legal obligations effectively and diligently prior to making a final finding, it must be at liberty to fully inquire relative to any of these sensitive matters without compromising the individuals or entities involved. To do otherwise would be, at a minimum, unfair and potentially unlawful. Accordingly, my colleagues and I may elect to exercise the discretion afforded in accordance with 205 CMR 101.01, paragraph 7, to close this proceeding to the public to fully address certain matters. Before we begin, it's my understanding that a pre-hearing conference was conducted on April 11, 2025, with representatives of the applicant, the IAB, and our Deputy General Counsel, at which case procedural and evidentiary issues were discussed. Are there any, I know that Mr. Soriano already stipulated, but are there any preliminary issues or objections anyone would like to raise at this time?
None on behalf of the licensee. Chair, we're ready to proceed.
None for the IAB as well. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, I ask that the representatives from PPC to please proceed with any opening remarks you would like to make.
So Chairman Maynard, I know that we have a very long day ahead of us, but I did prepare a very brief opening statement if you'll indulge us. So good morning, Chairman Maynard, and good morning, Commissioners. It's a pleasure to be with you this morning to discuss Plainridge Park Casino's application for a 5-year Category 2 license renewal. And while we look forward to the full hearing today, I did want to take a moment to point out just a few of the highlights from our public hearing in Plainville earlier this month. Next month, PPC will celebrate its 10th anniversary. And since our opening in June of 2015, we've paid over $338 million in tax revenue to the Commonwealth, invested over $25 million in capital improvements, and contributed over $500,000 to local charities, and generated direct employment for over 400 team members. Since our last relicensing, we exceeded our diverse spend target in all categories, including minority spend, women-owned business spend, and veteran-owned business spend. Since 2020, we've conducted over 5,000 harness horse races and paid out over $77 million in racing purses. We've exceeded our goals to veterans and diverse hiring, and we've made significant investments to team member development programs and training, including Women Leading at Penn, ESOL courses, and our Emerging Leaders Program. We've paid out over $165,000 in scholarships for the children of Penn team members, and many of these children were the first in their families to attend college. Finally, we have shared our success with our team members through additional awards and incentives, including day one benefit enrollment, over $125,000 in service bonuses, and more than $175,000 in special recognition bonuses. Finally, it's been our great privilege to work with and support over 50 local charities and nonprofit organizations, including Old Colony Habitat for Humanity, the local Rotary and Lions Clubs, the Attleboro Norton YMCA, the Hockomock YMCA, the Boston Pearl Foundation, Safe Coalition, the American Cancer Society, Rolling Thunder, Franklin Food Pantry, and the North Attleboro Cultural Council, just to name a few. So with that, I'll close out by just saying we look forward to our time together and remain ready to answer any questions that as they arise.
Thank you, North. I won't refer to your new nickname from that same conversation we had. With that, we will turn to Mr. Mercer and ask that you move directly into the presentation by the IEB, and then we will continue with the additional commission compliance presentations, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Good morning once again, Chair and Commissioners. Zach Mercer, Senior Enforcement Counsel for the IEB. With me today are Chief Enforcement Counsel and Assistant Director of the IEB, Kathleen Kramer, and IEB Director, Caitlin Monahan, along with members of the IEB's investigatory team. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity today to present the IEB's investigation regarding the continued suitability of Plainville Gaming and Redevelopment, LLC, doing business as Plainridge Park Casino. For today's purposes, in my remarks, I will be referring to the operator as PPC. Before we begin the presentation, I would like to acknowledge the efforts of the investigatory team, which includes the GEU team led by Lieutenant David Collette, the Financial Investigation team led by Division Chief Monica Chang, and the Gaming Agents Division led by Chief Burt Kane. Each division has completed a thorough review, which is summarized in the IEB's letter, which can be found in your packet as Exhibit 2. As the Commission is aware, following positive determinations of suitability for itself and its qualifiers, PPC was issued its Category 2 gaming license on February 28, 2014. It received its operation certificate on June 24, 2015, and commenced operations on the same day. Pursuant to General Laws, Chapter 23K, Section 20F, PPC's initial license was valid for a 5-year period, set to expire on June 24, 2020. During PPC's initial license term, it entered into a relationship with GLPI, which now serves as the landlord for PPC's property. As a result of that relationship, a number of new entity and individual qualifiers were designated and deemed suitable in 2019. PPC timely filed an application for renewal of its initial license, which was subject to a hearing regarding its request. The Commission ultimately issued a positive determination of suitability for PPC and its qualifiers on September 30th, 2020, for a renewed license period concluding on June 24th, 2025, which brings us to the present application for renewal. PPC submitted its instant application on October 21st, 2024. Following receipt of the application, the IEB commenced its investigation for continued suitability. The initial step of this investigation was a rescoping process conducted by the licensing division. Rescoping ultimately designated 17 individuals and 10 entity qualifiers for this review. With permission of the Commission, I will share an excerpt of the IEB's filing here on the screen for a better explanation. Can everybody see that all right? I'm seeing some heads nodding. Excellent. So as you can see in the shaded portion of this grid, 13 of the individual qualifiers were previously deemed suitable by the Commission and have been subject to updated background reviews for the purposes of this investigation, as you can see here. The four qualifiers at the bottom of this list that I have the cursor over now, which are not shaded, have either been subject of a recent suitability determination, as is the case of Vimla Black Gupta, who was deemed suitable by the commission last year, or they have recently been designated qualifiers, as is the case of Justin Carter, Anuj Danda, and Aaron LaBerge, who are currently undergoing suitability investigations, which will be brought before the commission in due course. I will note that Penn has recently announced forthcoming changes to the organizational structure of its board. In January 2025, investment firm HG Vora notified Penn of its intent to nominate 3 individuals to serve on the Penn Board of Directors. On April 25th, 2025, Penn notified the IAB that Director Ronald Naples had retired from the Board of Directors effective immediately and would remain on the board in an emeritus capacity. The IAB was also informed that Directors Barbara Shattuck-Cohn and Saul Reebstein will not be seeking re-election at this year's shareholders meeting. As part of these moves, Penn announced that it would be reducing its board to 8 members and that it would be nominating 2 of the 3 directors proposed by HG Vora. HG Vora has recently filed an action pertaining to these moves and the board composition, which is ongoing. As stated earlier, the number of entity qualifiers before the commission today for PPC is 10. Moving down on the chart that's depicted still on your screen is the list of entity qualifiers. The 3 entities in the as seen in the chart of the 10, the 7 in the shaded area have been previously deemed suitable by the commission and have also been subject to updated suitability investigations for the purposes of today's presentation. The 3 entities that are in the unshaded area at the bottom of that list have received waivers from qualification requirements due to their status as institutional investors pursuant to 205 CMR 116.031B. Taking that down. For its review, the IAB evaluated PPC and its qualifiers based upon the standards set forth in General Laws Chapter 23K, Sections 12, 13, 14, and 16, along with 205 CMR 150. This includes an evaluation of the licensee and qualifier's overall reputation, including their integrity, honesty, and good character, financial stability, integrity, and background business practices, ability to maintain a successful gaming establishment, and compliance history. PPC is required to establish that it is suitable for licensure by clear and convincing evidence and must maintain suitability on an ongoing basis. As part of the investigation to determine if that standard had been met, investigators reviewed PPC's renewal application and submissions from each of the entity and individual qualifiers, requested and reviewed supplemental information, gathered information from a variety of governmental and non-governmental sources and databases, conducted criminal record checks, reviewed updates on litigation matters, and verified the accuracy of information. Today's presentation will provide an overview of our investigation and highlight some of the key points. These steps were taken in order to assist the commission in determining if the applicant has satisfied the affirmative obligation to demonstrate their suitability by clear and convincing evidence. Today, you will hear from Lieutenant David Collette regarding the GEU investigation into PPC and its qualifiers, Financial Investigations Division Manager Paul Eldridge regarding the findings of the IAB's financial investigation, and Eric Cantel, Gaming Agents Division's Casino Regulatory Manager at PPC, as to their observations on the property in the licensure period. Ultimately, you will hear that following a thorough investigation, the IAB is recommending that the applicant and entity qualifiers have established their qualifications for durable suitability, as stated earlier, by clear and convincing evidence. I'll now be turning the matter over to Lieutenant Collette to first detail the investigation undertaken by the GEU team. I will note that in addition to the suitability investigation undertaken by GEU, it also produced a memo regarding compliance, which is found in Exhibit 6, which has also been submitted to the Commission, which includes the implementation of firearms detection systems at PPC. The IAB would further note that PPC was cooperative throughout that process and was the first casino to go live with firearms detection technology at all entrances. And with that, I would be turning the matter over to Lieutenant Collette.
Good morning, Chair and Commissioners.
Thank you.
Just one moment, Mr. Collette. I want to make sure that we don't have any questions. Let's see. Do any commissioners have any questions of Councilor Mercer at this time? Does the petitioner have any questions for Councilor Mercer at this time?
None, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Soriano. All right, now, Mr. Collette.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning to you and the other commissioners. Good morning to representatives from Penn Entertainment and Plainridge Park Casino. Again, I am Lieutenant David Collette, Investigations Manager for the GEU assigned to the Mass Gaming Commission. Assisting me in our portion of this investigation are Sergeant John Morris and all troopers assigned to the Boston office. After an in-depth review of all applications and submissions from Plainville Gaming and Redevelopment, LLC, doing business as Plainridge Park Casino, Penn Entertainment, and Gaming and Leisure Properties, a thorough background investigation was conducted regarding the 5 Penn-related entities, 3 GLPI-related entities, 11 Penn-related individual qualifiers, and 2 GLPI-related individual qualifiers. It should be noted that the applicant and all designated entity and individual qualifiers have previously been found suitable by the Commission. As part of this investigation, routine communications were conducted with the applicants, which required the submission of additional information and supplemental documents. All communications with the applicant were courteous and professional, and information was provided in a timely manner. The process by which this investigation was conducted involved extensive research and the discovery of any additional information which could be learned about the applicant, associated entities, and individuals from as many sources as investigators deemed necessary. Some of these sources involve databases that are either available to the public or are law enforcement sensitive. Queries were conducted in search of any criminal history at the federal, state, local, and even international level. Individual applicants are required to submit their fingerprints as part of their application package, which are run through a criminal records database. It should be noted that no such criminal history was discovered for any of the individual qualifiers. Civil litigation databases were queried and reviewed regarding any lawsuits filed against the applicant, entities, or individuals. Particular attention is paid to any suits that contain any accusations of derogatory or fraudulent business practices. In regard to this specific investigation, no litigation disclosed or discovered revealed any such accusations or judgments. Secretary of State and SEC databases were queried regarding any filings reported by the applicant or qualifying entities. Any results obtained were reviewed for any derogatory information, such as UCC filings or liens, relating to the applicant or entities involved in this investigation. No such information was discovered. Open source and media outlet checks were conducted and reviewed, including social media. A vast majority of the responses involved the ongoing business transactions, financial information, and daily operations involving the applicant and its parent company, Penn Entertainment. All content was reviewed and revealed no derogatory information regarding any of the involved entities or individuals. Also, as part of this investigation, other jurisdictions in which the applicant are already conducting gaming-related business were contacted. All responses received from other jurisdictions revealed no derogatory or disqualifying information in regard to their existing licensure or suitability. After a thorough review of all results of all aspects of the MSP portion of this investigation conducted into the applicant, associated entities, and individuals, no significant issues or concerns were identified. That is all.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Commissioners, any questions? All right, I'll ask the petitioner. Any questions?
Thank you, Chair. No questions, other than I'd like to express my thanks to Lieutenant Collette for the thoroughness and the amount of work that goes into these investigations, and the GEU staff and the troopers are always incredibly professional and thorough to work with, and we really appreciate the attention to detail on this matter.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Councilor Mercer.
Thank you, Chair. As stated in my opening remarks, the IEB conducted an investigation for financial suitability of the licensee, entity, and individual qualifiers. For an explanation of that investigation and its findings, in a moment, I'll be turning the matter over to Paul Eldridge. Paul will explain the methodology that the FI team used in conducting its investigation. At the conclusion of that first portion of Paul's presentation, I will be requesting that we enter a private session to detail the findings of the financial investigation, as it will include discussion of non-public financial information for entity and individual qualifiers. But at this point, I would turn it over to Paul to explain the methodology of their invest.
Great. Thank you, Zach. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. For those who don't know me, I am Paul Eldridge, the Financial Investigations Manager in the IEB. The renewal financial investigation of Plainridge Park Casino was split into three main parts. First was review of the 13 individual qualifiers. Second was review of PPC and Penn Entertainment and subsidiaries' financial results. And third was review of GLPI and subsidiaries' financial results. For the 13 individual qualifiers, the IEB analyzed sources and key components of income from their tax returns. We reviewed changes in their net worth statements and reasonability of their assets and liabilities as disclosed in their applications, and finally, their credit histories and credit reports obtained from National Credit Bureau. Follow-up requests and inquiries were made, and each qualifier provided responses in full. For the applicant and 7 entity qualifiers, the IEB reviewed financial statements, annual 10K reports, public filings, and press releases for the 2 public parent companies of Penn Entertainment and GLPI, tax returns filed, credit histories, and credit report ratings as applicable. The IEB examined historical financial performance and identified key trends on the income statements and balance sheets. For Penn Entertainment, key financial ratios were calculated to gauge changes in liquidity and profitability over time. Lastly, inquiries were made to members of PPC, Penn Entertainment, and GLPI management, and each were cooperative and provided responses fully. That was our methodology for this renewal.
Thank you, Paul. And at this point, absent any questions, this is when I would request we would enter the private session to discuss further if the commissioners deem so fit.
Thank you, Councilor Mercer. Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Eldridge at this time? All right. Would we be willing to enter in to private session? If so, do we have to take a motion on that? I can't.
You don't have to take a motion or vote on this, Chair. You can simply do it by consensus.
All right,
Commissioners
sounds good.
agree.
All right. Well, I saw Commissioner Broder was a yes. Commissioner O'Brien.
I'm all set. Yep.
Commissioner Skinner. All right. All 5 of us are yes. So we will enter into that, Mr. Eldridge. Give everyone a second to get back in. All right. Okay, we are re-entering public session after a conversation with Mr. Eldridge regarding some financial information. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Councilor Mercer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Mr. Eldridge, for your presentation. As the Commission is aware, the IAB has a 24/7 presence at PPC through the GEU and its Gaming Agents Division. The IAB uses a graduated process to address noncompliance on the properties. This process includes the issuance of noncompliance forms, or NCFs, formal notices of noncompliance, and issuance of civil administrative penalties. Regarding formal notices of noncompliance and civil administrative penalties, which are issued by the Chief Enforcement Counsel's office, PPC has received neither of those two items in the relevant 5-year period. I will now turn it over to Gaming Agents Division Casino Regulatory Manager for PPC, Eric Cantel, to discuss the reviews and observations undertaken by the Gaming Agents Division during the licensing period at PPC. Eric.
Good morning, Chairman Maynard and fellow commissioners. My name is Eric Cantel. I'm the Casino Regulatory Manager assigned to Plainridge Park Casino. This memorandum summarizes the past 5 years of oversight and current compliance status of PPC with a focus on 7 core gaming areas: approved system of internal controls, casino floor plan, surveillance plan, slot machine operations plan, credit procedures and suspension of credit, gaming beverage licenses, and minors and underage on the floor. Since the easing of COVID-19 restrictions, IAB gaming agents have maintained a 24-hour presence at the facility. They remain actively engaged in monitoring gaming operations, utilizing the surveillance system for both routine live reviews and investigations prompted by reports from PPC security or surveillance teams. Our agents also conduct regular audits and floor observations, ensuring a visible IAB presence that has fostered a constructive relationship with PPC staff. During the 5-year period between 2020 and 2024, the IAB has issued 62 non-compliance forms known as NCFs to PPC related to identified incidents of non-compliance. PPC has been responsive to these NCFs. During the same period, the IAB did not issue any notices of non-compliance known as NONCs and did not issue any civil administrative penalties. IAB continues to evaluate PPC's internal controls through monthly audits and daily observations tied to routine investigations. Over the past 5 years, PPC has consistently updated and amended its internal controls as necessary, with no significant issues noted. Regarding the casino floor plan and surveillance plan, IAB performs ongoing daily monitoring and monthly audits. No significant issues have been noted with either plan. For the slot machine operations plan, IAB conducts daily and monthly audits, monitors approved storage areas, and reviews all slot change requests submitted by PPC. No significant issues have been noted with PPC slot machine protocols. With respect to credit procedures and suspension of credit, PPC has demonstrated consistent compliance. IAB has not received reports or documentation indicating significant issues in this area. Regarding PPC's gaming beverage licenses, IAB has reviewed PPC's obligations for alcohol service and storage and continues to monitor these aspects daily. No significant issues have been identified. Finally, with regard to minors and underage on the floor, in the 5-year period between 2020 and 2024, 29 underage individuals were found on the gaming floor. Of those 29 individuals, 16 had gamed, and 1 had consumed alcohol. In conclusion, IEB finds that PPC has maintained ongoing compliance across all areas of its Category 2 gaming license. And with that, I turn it over to Mr. Maynard, Chairman Maynard.
Thank you, Mr. Cantel. Commissioners, questions for Eric? All right, Mr. Soriano, any questions?
Thank you, Chair. No questions. Again, we'd just like to thank Mr. Cantel and his team for the collaboration. Having the gaming agents at the property is a real asset, and it's a great collaborative relationship between us and the agents. And we really appreciate the ongoing dialogue, discussion, as we always work to take their feedback and improve what it is we do. So thank you, Mr. Cantel, to you and the entire team.
Appreciate you.
Thank you. So, Councilor Mercer, have we reached the end of your presentation?
We have, absent any additional questions from the commissioners, for the investigatory team, the IEB will have some closing remarks regarding its investigation and recommendation. Otherwise, I'd open the floor to the chair or to any commissioners if there are any additional questions, but otherwise I can move right into those remarks.
So I have just a brief question, and I'm going to wedge it here since the GEU is the next. I know there's an MOU with the Plainville PD. I want to see where we were with that at this time.
I would defer at this point to Director Monahan for discussion of that.
Director Monahan, were you sworn in this morning?
I wasn't, but I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth.
All right, well, let's do that for the record so we can just do it. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you will provide before the commission at this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, please proceed.
Thank you, Chair. In response to your question, as you noted, there is an MOU between the Plainville Police Department and the MSP. That will be expiring at the end of June. And so we are in active, or when I say we, GEU and MSP is in active negotiations with the Plainville Police Department for a new MOU.
All right. Okay. I'm interested to see what my fellow commissioners say. Maybe this is better for the end of the entire hearing, but I'd be interested to see if we should hold any final decisions until that MOU is completed. But
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a quick question at this time?
Commissioner Broder.
Director, is it correct to say that the MOU that's in place will survive until a successor is negotiated, or does it terminate?
It does have a termination date. And so if we were not able to reach an agreement by the end of June, we could potentially agree to extend the existing MOU until the new MOU went into place.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Broder. Thank you, Director Monahan. It gives us something to think about. All right. Any other questions before we let Councilor Mercer continue with his remarks? All right, Councilor Mercer.
Thank you very much once again, Mr. Chair. As stated, taken in its entirety, the investigation revealed no evidence that would serve to disqualify the applicant or its qualifiers, nor did the investigation reveal any information that would indicate that any qualifier lacks the requisite integrity, honesty, and good character to be deemed suitable under Massachusetts law. Considering those factors and PPC's compliance history over the instant 5-year term of its Category 2 license, the IEB recommends that the Commission issue positive determinations of suitability to PPC and the qualifiers that comprise this application, and find PPC suitable under the criteria listed in the gaming law and regulations. With that, I'd like to thank the Penn team for their cooperation and responsiveness throughout this process, and thank the Commission for their time today. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Just one last time, I want to make sure we have no questions. And any questions from you, Mr. Soriano?
No questions, Chair, other than to thank Mr. Mercer and the entire IEB team for their thoroughness and their collaboration.
Thank you. All right. With that, we're going to turn it to number 6, which is the Gaming Enforcement Unit Compliance Report. And for that, we are going to turn it to Detective Lieutenant Mike Leo.
Chair, unfortunately, Mike Leo cannot be here today, so I can speak to his memo.
Well, we'll turn it to you, Lieutenant.
Thank you, sir. Over the past 5 years, GEU has provided 24/7 law enforcement presence and has worked closely with PPC's security and surveillance department, as well as their management team, to immediately respond to incidents and ensure a safe environment for staff and patrons. GEU has been in a position to consistently evaluate many facets of PPC's emergency and critical incident response plan, and can report that PPC staff have consistently demonstrated their ability to effectively respond to various incidents in compliance with this plan. Fortunately, PPC and GEU have not had to address many significant or challenging scenarios outlined in PPC's emergency and critical incident response plan. However, the GEU has consistently observed the manner in which PPC staff has handled specific incidents involving crowd control, enhanced security measures for special events, medical emergencies, and coordination of responses by the GEU, as well as local media, fire, and police services. GEU can report that PPC has consistently handled these matters efficiently and safely. Additionally, since opening, PPC staff has appropriately and safely responded to the following incidents and situations, effectively minimizing or eliminating safety concerns. The commission will recall the implementation of the brick and mortar sports wagering facility at PPC in January of 23. Mobile sports wagering 2 months later in March. PPC has generously housed a new unit created by GEU, which focuses specifically on sports wagering investigations. The weapons detection system that was installed on 12/20/24 ahead of schedule, and several power outages that occurred on property in the years 2021, 2022, and 2024 with minimal disruption. PPC remains a valued partner to the GEU in conducting its mission on site. Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Commissioners, questions for Lieutenant Collette? Mr. Soriano, any questions?
No questions, Chair. Lieutenant, and thank you to you and the entire GEU team. You're a valued partner with us in addressing these situations as they arise and in being proactive. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
I will say thank you to the licensee. I have had the opportunity to look at the weapons detection system and to go through it several times, and we appreciate your compliance in that matter. All right. With that, I believe we're going to turn it over to number 7, and that's the Community Affairs Division Compliance Report. And for that, I'm going to turn it over to Chief Delaney. Good morning, Mr. Delaney. Please.
Good morning. Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. So the Community Affairs Division has reviewed 5 areas of compliance at PPC, which include the RFA2 compliance. And the RFA2, of course, is the original application that was submitted by PPC for their original license. Compliance with host and surrounding community agreements. Compliance with the Section 61 findings, which are the environmental requirements that were placed on the project by both the state and the Gaming Commission, compliance with the impacted live entertainment venue agreements, and compliance with the capital expenditure requirements. So in general, over the 5-year term of the license, staff finds that PPC is in substantial compliance with all of these identified areas. In particular, with RFA2 compliance, we did a detailed review back in 2020, which did find a few areas that were not in compliance, but those areas were considered acceptable by the Commission. And these were the provision of an off-site daycare option rather than having an on-site daycare center. The provision of 3 venues in the food court rather than the 4 stipulated in the RFA2, and also the inability to use the racetrack infield for outdoor entertainment due to stormwater management issues. Those were considered acceptable by the commission at that time, and we would still consider those to be acceptable. There are no changes since that first relicensing, and we did not identify any other issues with respect to that. And with respect to the host and surrounding community agreements, we reviewed all of those agreements and found that PPC is in substantial compliance with all of these agreements. We did identify one issue with the host community agreement regarding the payment of taxes to the town. In the HCA, there's a target annual tax from PPC, which initially totaled 1.5 million with 2.5% increases each year. One of the interesting things in that is that at the end of each year, there's supposed to be sort of a true up of these payments. If PPC was assessed more than what was owed, they would get a refund. And if PPC was assessed less than what that target is, they would have to make an additional payment. After the pandemic, that true up had not happened at the end of each year. So PPC is proposing to do that true up at the end of the current fiscal year, at the end of June. In this case, actually, PPC has overpaid money to the town, so they will take a credit on their final bill payment to the town this June. Compliance with the Section 61 findings. Again, we did a deep dive on those back in 2020. There were a couple of areas back in 2020 that were identified and that are that have been resolved at this point. The first one was working with the Greater Attleboro Taunton Regional Transit Authority, otherwise known as GATRA, to implement a new bus route between the Triborough Plaza and PPC. That was determined to not be really doable. So they came up with an agreement with GATRA to provide the GATRA Go micro transit service. It's similar to Uber or Lyft, where a person can call and get a low fare cost ride home, which we consider that to be acceptable in place of that. And the last item was there was a traffic study that was still owed to the commission at the time of the last renewal. Of course, we're in the middle of the pandemic and we were waiting for a more appropriate time where traffic had returned essentially back to whatever the new normal is. And at this point, PPC has recently awarded a contract to conduct that final traffic study, so we are satisfied with that. Compliance with the impacted live entertainment venue agreements. PPC does have an ILEV agreement with the Mass Performing Arts Coalition. The Community Affairs Division had a meeting with the president of MPAC, Troy Siebels, back in January. And he indicated that he believed that PPC was in compliance with that agreement, and he sent us a letter to that effect. And then compliance with capital expenditure requirements. PPC has been operating under an approved multi-year capital plan. The last one was approved in 2021 and covers the years 2021 through 2025. Each year, PPC reports to the commission on the status of their capital expenditure plan as part of the fourth quarter report, and PPC has been in compliance with their plan thus far from the 2021 through 2024 years of that report. We don't recommend any additional license conditions at this time, and that completes my report to the commission.
Thank you, Chief Delaney, and thank you for walking me around the property last month as part of our review. Commissioners, any questions for Chief Delaney? Mr. Soriano?
No questions, Chair. Just like to thank Chief Delaney and his team, as always, for their hard work and their collaboration on these issues.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief Delaney. We appreciate it. All right. We are now going to turn it to number 8, which is the Department of Revenue Compliance Report. And for that, we are turning it to our Deputy General Counsel, Justin Stimpick. Counselor.
Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. I was asked to look at the compliance by PPC with obligations relative to the intercept of child support or tax payments. As the commission is aware, under general laws, chapter 23K, section 51, there's an obligation that when there's a prize exceeding $1,200, that PPC is to run a DOR intercept to determine if the prize winner is subject to back due child payment support or past tax obligations. This is also memorialized in a MOU between PPC, the commission, and the Department of Revenue. We looked at the relevant time period in the past 5 years, and through information provided to me by the IEB, they reported that there were 5 incidents where PPC slot operations team failed to accurately process a DOR intercept via the DOR system, 1 in 2023 and 4 in 2024. It's my understanding that those were each addressed and remedied as noted in the attached memorandum as part of your packet. Furthermore, I reached out to tax counsel at the Department of Revenue. They also indicated that they had no compliance issues with PPC's ongoing obligations in that MOU, and that they were satisfied with the performance under the MOU over the past 5 years. So that being said, that's the entirety of the report on the DOR obligations.
Thank you, Counselor, and stay close. You're the next item too. So commissioners, do we have any questions in regards with the DOR compliance report? Commissioner Skinner?
Just one quick question. Counselor Stempek, could you just confirm that all of the obligations were satisfied either by PPC or the patron ultimately? It's not clear to me, particularly number 3 on the memo.
I'll have to the information was all provided to me, Commissioner, by the IEB, so I can confirm with them and in the interim as you're hearing the remainder of the presentations and get back to you on that particular piece of information. I had asked about what DOR issues we had in the past 5 years, and those 5 that are reported in the memo, that's the extent of the information I was provided. So, but I will get an answer to your question.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I mean, really, it's generally, and I understand that there's compliance generally with the agreement itself, but just with respect to the incidents that you've outlined, I want to make sure that those obligations have been satisfied as well.
Yep, I understand.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. And I know Justin will work to get us that information. Any other questions, Commissioners? Mr. Soriano?
No questions, Chair. Thank you to Councilor Stempek.
All right. So with that, we're going to stick with Councilor Stempek to discuss the state lottery compliance report.
Thank you, Chair. As indicated in my memorandum in the packet today, this addresses PPC's ongoing compliance with its obligations under General Law 23K to be a retail provider of the state lottery and as a sales agent for lottery. This was an obligation that PPC took when they first opened their doors. Under their initial license term, it has maintained throughout that to now. As of the current day, we confirmed to the state lottery that they are in material compliance with the agreement that they have entered into with the state lottery. I reached out to general counsel at the state lottery and they had no issues with PPC's ongoing operations as a retail partner for the state lottery. And that's essentially the entirety of the update on the compliance with the lottery obligations.
Thank you, Councilor. Commissioners, we know that the lottery is an important partner in this. Any questions? All right. Mr. Soriano, any questions?
No questions, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Stempek, anything else on this matter? Understanding that you are going to brief the commission on the previous matter later on.
I can provide a quick update on that as I was just messaged by PPC to provide an update that they indicated that all obligations under DOR have been satisfied and paid into DOR as required, including that subsection number 3, Commissioner Skinner. So that has all been remedied as of this point, as represented to me by PPC.
Well, thank you, Counselor Stepic, and thank you to whoever's working the magic at PPC to get that information out.
Full credit to Lisa McKenney for sharing that with me.
Thank you, Lisa. All right. With that, commissioners, can I have just a 5-minute break? We're about an hour in. All right, thank you. Let's call it 11:15. We'll come back. All right, I think we can take that down. I haven't been given permission to share a name, but I will say we had a team member that made cupcakes. And I had one for breakfast this morning, but Commissioner Skinner will be glad to know that I skipped over one when I was walking to and fro the kitchen. So
For now,
see if they survive.
got a long day ahead of us, as North
Yeah.
said.
All right, I think all the commissioners are back. Give Mr. Soriano, Mr. Soriano's back. Are we ready to proceed? I see North is back. All right, so let's do this. We're coming back from a brief break. Just for the record, all the commissioners are still here. And we left off with the state lottery compliance report. We're now going to turn it, we're scheduled to turn it over to the Gaming Agents Division compliance report. But I do want to ask Councilor Mercer, was that the same information that was covered in your report? Is that duplicative?
That is correct, Mr. Chair. We included the gaming agents compliance report in the broader IED presentation. So the information that would be contained in that memo has been presented to the commission.
All right. With that permission for the commission, I'm going to say that we should move on to the workforce supplier and diversity development compliance report. And for that, we are going to turn it over to Vanessa Sundai.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to present today. My name is Vanessa Sundai, and I am the Senior Human Resource and Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Program Manager. In 2021, following the departure of the former Director of the Workforce Supply and Diversity Development Department, the Commission closed the department. The responsibility for that work was transitioned to the newly created position of Chief People and Diversity Officer. In 2023, I was hired as the Senior Human Resource and DI Program Manager and took over the responsibilities previously held by the former Director and former Chief. Since that change, the Human Resource Department has been responsible for monitoring licensee compliance with workforce and supplier diversity goals, local hiring benchmarks, and the diversity-related requirements outlined in Chapter 23K and the RFA2 license framework. This review covers Plainridge Park Casino's performance from 2021 through the last quarter of 2024. Findings are based on the licensee's quarterly submissions, the 2024 diversity compliance audit conducted by RSM, and the documents submitted as part of the PPC's relicensing process. Starting with supplier diversity, PPC has met or exceeded the spending benchmarks in most years of the review period. The goals are 6% for minority business enterprises, 12% for women business enterprises, and 3% for veteran business enterprises. While PPC consistently met the goals for minority and veteran-owned businesses, and for the most part, the women-owned businesses, they did not meet the 12% goal for women-owned businesses in 2023. That year, their reported spend was 11%. With respect to workforce diversity, PPC has consistently met the 20% minority representation benchmarks, with participation ranging from 24 to nearly 32%. Veteran workforce participation ranged from 4 to 6% during the review period, exceeding the 3% goal each year. PPC has not met the 50% benchmark for women workforce participation at any point during this period. The yearly averages were as followed. In 2021, it was 37.5%. In 2022, 43%. In 2023, 44.75%. In 2024, 46%. While there has been gradual improvement, no formal strategy has been submitted to address the gap. In terms of local hiring, PPC's performance remained below the 35% benchmark for hiring from host and surrounding communities. Their reported figures stayed between 31 and 32%. No corrective plan or outreach strategy was submitted. The local community spend goal is 10% annually. PPC reported the following: in 2021, 8.5%, 2022, 9%, 2023, 9.5%, 2024, 5.25%. Although PPC came close to meeting the goals in earlier years, the decline in 2024 was not addressed in their materials, and no plan was offered to improve these results. Several regional tourism and outreach efforts that were included in PPC's original application, such as regional kiosks and transportation services, has since been discontinued and no revised strategy was submitted. The 2024 diversity compliance audit conducted by RSM assessed PPC's overall compliance risk as moderate. Although the licensee met most numerical targets, the audit identified several areas for improvement. PPC does not have a formal advancement strategy in place. There's no mentorship program, no succession planning, and no system to track the promotion or development of underrepresented employees. The audit also found that 3 vendors reported as certified diverse did not have valid certification. PPC relied heavily on manual tracking without a structured process for documentation or internal verification. The Human Resource Department has made multiple outreach attempts to engage PPC in a collaborative process regarding workforce and supplier diversity goals, but those efforts did not result in any sustained engagement or follow through from the licensee. With this full picture in mind, the following may be appropriate for the Commission to consider as part of the relicensing process. Encouraging submission of a formal advancement strategy that includes mentorship, promotion tracking, and succession planning. Recommending development of a corrective action plan to address the local hiring shortfall. Requesting vendor certification procedures along with proper documentation and retention practices. Requesting a revised regional tourism and outreach strategy. Requesting documentation of outreach to unemployed Massachusetts residents, and supporting the full implementation of corrective actions outlined in the 2024 diversity compliance audit. Thank you again for the opportunity to present this review, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Sendai. Questions, commissioners? Commissioner O'Brien?
So, yeah, thank you. And I don't know if this, Benicio, this is for you or maybe Chris, but I know that PPC reports on their stats quarterly. So the lack of sort of the formal plan, was that something that was discussed as no longer being required because we had, shut down what was originally that department when we were building the casinos? Or is this something that needs to be talked about?
I guess I'll answer that. I'm not sure if this is something that was a formal process. And I have been in talks with Lisa McKinney with pretty recently. Actually, we started our talks about a year, maybe a little bit more, shortly after that audit started, with regards to trying to work towards some sort of collaborative efforts with addressing their goals, but nothing has panned out since then. So I think this should be a bigger conversation that we have moving forward. And I know their goals, but it's also good to know that the operators are working towards those goals. And they've been successful in many other areas.
Right. Chris, I didn't know if you had anything to add or if Lisa's on the call.
Yeah, procedurally, Chair and Commissioner O'Brien, we both Mr. Granzel and Kathy Lucas has joined us as well, our head of HR at the property, have some comments to offer on this topic.
Okay,
I don't know if that would be appropriate to do so now, or if you want to save it for essentially our affirmative presentation, whatever is easiest.
It doesn't matter to me.
So Commissioner O'Brien, I think doesn't matter to me either. Commissioners, do we want to say this to their presentation? I will ask Ms. Sendai just to educate me on the process. Was there like a report generated, or what you just presented, was that given to PPC for them to be able to respond to?
There was not a report generated for PPC, but this is part of the reports that they provide to us. So they're very much aware of where they stand. with regards to meeting the goals.
Okay, that's why I asked. I just need a little education on it.
Yeah.
All
thank
right. So, commissioners, any preference on when they proceed?
I would say now, Mr. Chairman, just because it's before us and they sound like they're ready to go.
All right, Commissioner Broder.
And before we do that, if I can just throw out as in terms of your presentation, Attorney Soriano, like I know that we'd had conversations historically about having to adjust numbers, that given the context for the numbers that PPC came in with initially, that there was conversation. I believe those numbers were altered slightly, given that, you know, initially anticipated being in Western Mass, and in fact, you ended up not there and at PPC. So I don't know if it's time to have that conversation now or to tie that into this process, but I also would be happy to hear as you sort of give your presentation on this topic, whether that is something that should be part of this conversation or not.
Thank you, Commissioner, and I'm sure the team can address that. And Chair, with your permission, we'll proceed at this time. On a technical point, Ms. Lucas needs to be sworn in.
Thank you, Chris. I was going to mention that, but thanks for being on top of it.
All right. So, Ms. Lucas, do you solemnly swear that the testimony you will provide before the commission at this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Oh, I heard you. I saw you say I do, but your audio's off. Oh, yeah, we're having some audio issues, Ms. Lucas. If you go to the microphone button, there's a little caret. Usually you have to click your computer.
Chair, while Kathy perhaps figures that out, and if it doesn't work for her, she can always come down to my office because my audio seems to be working. I'll start off comments by saying I wish we had seen this report prior to today. It would have been helpful. I think that there are some elements of what's presented that we could have provided additional clarity in terms of what it is that we do to meet the targets that have been assigned to us. And so I'll pull out just a couple of those just from memory. One of the ones in there was concern about us not having programs to monitor and to support advancement of underrepresented people. We consistently report on our percent of supervisors who are diverse. And we actually have affinity groups and programs set up for team members that are specific to those groups. The Women Leading at Penn program being one of those specifically. In terms of talent development and succession planning, that is something that we constantly are monitoring and looking at, and are always seeking to make sure that our supervisory workforce group does more closely match our surrounding community in terms of percentages. With regards to some of the vendor diversity piece, this was another piece that I was really surprised. I know that we meet monthly on our diversity targets and how we are progressing against those, and that we regularly have conversations expanding our diverse supplier workforce group. And so that one was another one that was surprising to me. With regards to outreach to unemployed groups, I know that we do have different councils that we work with that represent unemployed people within the Commonwealth. And so for a lot of these things, I think there's additional clarity that we could have provided that would have perhaps painted a different picture. That being said, we are proud of our record when we look at the metrics, and I can tell you that those metrics do overall represent the efforts that we have been putting towards meeting those targets. So like I said, we did miss our goal for women by 1% in 2023. Otherwise, every year we met, and I would say that in that year that we met, we were 23% overall in diverse spend on a goal of 21. So again, these things don't happen by accident. They're not something that happen because we wished them to happen. They have to happen because we worked for them, and we are constantly on top of those things. So happy to have additional conversation, to have Kathy weigh in once she's available. But not having access to this report before today certainly put us at a disadvantage to being responsive.
I just wanted to make sure, can you hear me or no?
Yes, Ms.
Okay,
Lucas.
perfect. So I do in regards to making sure that I'm sworn in properly. And North shared, I guess, the level of surprise from this information that we received today. I will also share that annually I do provide our workforce plan to the commission, and it was last updated in October of 2024, actually October 25th. And it does share the information that we're executing against to meet our goals and to also not only meet them, but exceed them. It speaks to how we work with the Massachusetts Department of Labor in their departments of career services, workforce development. We work with our local agencies to ensure that either underrepresented or underprivileged candidates have the opportunity to meet with us and connect with us directly. And that's even on the state level and local level. We work in our surrounding neighborhood with Bristol Community College, Massasoit. We work with multiple veterans organizations. We specifically partner with Black women organizations like Alpha Kappa Alpha, Boston Pearl Foundation, also the Links organizations. We are represented on their boards from a recruitment and also a scholarship standpoint. So we are actively engaged with bringing in candidates from the areas that have been underrepresented, so local and women. We've had this conversation, I want to say, since returning from COVID, with what our plan was in regards to, returning from COVID and having parts of our business that employed a bulk of women in those departments coming back in a staggered standpoint. We spoke to that on our quarterly meetings. It's in our plan. I am surprised in regards to the connectivity with the commission or a subcommittee in regards to being able to prepare or put together a formal or informal plan, because that I think we've kind of shared over the last 5 years, and even before that, we would be 100% willing to participate and share the information that we're working on to definitely. I don't think we've come back in those 5 years and asked for our numbers to be reduced. I think we've worked very hard to try to get to those numbers. So I would just share, this is probably my first time being engaged in a conversation that would put concern on us not meeting these goals, and this would be an obstacle or barrier for us, but willing 100% to work on those goals and willing to share our workforce development plan on how we've been attacking these things over the last 5 years.
Thank you, Ms. Lucas. Let me level set real quick, if I may. If I may, just level set. I know that North, your team, Ms. Lucas, you come in quarterly and report to us on numbers. We see that rolling on a basis. There was a lot of positive that Ms. Sunday's report just reported. There were a few places where there were small misses, which you've owned up to and you've always owned up to. I think that sometimes there's communication differences, and this seems like a place where there's an opportunity here just for better communication between the team and between the MGC. And it's something that we can weigh and look at, and we can also keep records open. So I don't want anyone to feel surprised, right? No surprises, That's Commissioner Broder loves to say no surprises. But at the same time, I want to make sure that we're focusing on the positive here, understanding the challenges that are there for us to work on. So with that level set, is there anything anyone would like to add? I see Commissioner O'Brien's mic's off. I see Commissioner Broder's reaching for his.
Yeah,
And
I'll
then
defer
and
to
then
Beniswa first.
Nikisha. So let's do this. Commissioner O'Brien, Commissioner Broder, Beniswa, and Nikisha, and Commissioner Skinner. That was the kind of the order.
Yeah, okay. So I was going to do something similar, sort of put context to it, but also, historical context. I think Attorney Soriano goes back before me, but other than that, I can say I was here. I was part of the two commission team that looked at the last review. I will not be here for the next one, but I was here for the last one and this one. And there were resets, asks and resets to the numbers historically. Like I said, because of the change in what was anticipated for your location, what ultimately ended up being, the location for PPC. And I want to have another conversation about that. It sounds like, maybe that's not necessary, that maybe these numbers are not anything. It's been adjusted once and it seems to be fitting with the workforce and what the expectations are. I don't want anybody to be surprised. My understanding is these numbers came kind of from you guys. So maybe it was sort of the contextualization of the information as opposed to the actual numbers themselves. I do have to say, I do recall post-COVID, a slow return on some of these numbers, particularly with women. And there was a representation that once food and beverage got back to where you were hoping you could get back to, we would have better numbers. So I would like to hear more on that in terms of, are you where you think you want to be? Are there more options that you see maybe coming in there that would put these numbers up? And probably you may not have these on your fingertips today, but something to supplement the presentation with would be, I know we did ask people to break down some of these stats on supervisory levels and leadership positions. Penn has had the Women in Leadership program for a number of years, which, I and other commissioners have lauded you for. I am curious to know what the breakdowns are, maybe getting an update on that and what the programs are in terms of trying to get more into the pipeline. I know you've had a number of successes where you've had people get promoted up and out and they're not in Massachusetts anymore because they did so well. They actually went up within the Penn organization and left. But I would be interested in getting an update on that information, partnering with Beniswa Sunday and then circling back to us on that information.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Brien. I think Commissioner Broder was next.
Yeah, super brief, I think, Mr. Chairman. I don't have the historical perspective, but I will say this: between the quarterly reports and just the back and forth we've had with the licensee, I think they understand the importance of our commitment to diversity in all respects in the industry. And I think that stands in good stead. I certainly want to hear a little bit more, but I do think the commitment is there. And I'll admit I was surprised to hear some of the things I've heard today as well, given that history.
All right, and then Ms. Sunday, and then Commissioner Skinner, but I didn't know who wants to go first. I know that is the order.
Can I jump in? Can I jump in, please?
To get the question out.
Thank you. My perspective that I think I can add comes from my recent involvement with the diversity audit that the commission just conducted. And some of this overlaps with some of the findings that were identified at that time. And the group that has convened, the internal group that has convened, has identified some of these concerns, not just with this licensee, but across the board. We also identified that if we are having concerns, we should be communicating the concerns throughout our engagement with the licensees, not just at time of license renewal. And so I do want to make sure that there is an understanding that there is an ongoing discussion, right, internally, and then ultimately there will be outreach to the licensees just in terms of what needs to be reevaluated, how the commission can best enforce its applicable regulations, whether we need to ask for some adjustment of some of the goals, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, you know, the report seems a lot more intimidating than it should be, in my opinion. And, you know, I hate that the licensee is seeing and hearing some of this for the very first time. That's unfortunate. And so, as Commissioner Broder acknowledged, we should probably take a look at our communication so that this doesn't happen. But I do want to say at the same time that the licensee is aware of what the commission's expectations are. The licensee is expected of the law and the regulations applicable to this subject matter. And so we would rely on you to make sure that you are keeping up with and keeping in compliance with that. I'm also going to briefly mention that Chief Delaney and his team, I've been working with him on just an overall audit of each of the licensees RFA2 compliance. And so that's a separate project, which also has some overlap with this particular area. It's not limited to this particular area, but there is some overlap. So I'll stop there and look forward to the conversation as we move forward. And again, I think that we should plan on having a large part of this discussion happen outside of the context of the license renewal process.
All right, and what I'm going to do, Benice, is I'm going to give you the last word. So, Mr. Soriano, so that way you know everything that's said, and we can go back to you, Mr. Soriano.
Yes, and I'll be very brief. I'm also surprised that you guys were surprised about this information. It was put in great detail during the RSM audit. And if you are not in possession of those findings, I am very happy to share that with you if you did not receive it. And I am also open to take this offline, of course, and we can move forward with additional conversations.
Thank you. And then I see Mr. Soriano has his hands up.
Yes, thank you, Chair. And that was suggestion was going to be on a path forward. I think we hear everything that the commission has stated, and Chair, recognizing your statement earlier that we can keep the record open. Might I suggest a path forward would be for a group of the property team to meet with Ms. Sundai and her team in short order. Let's go through all the information. Let's have the conversation. Let's see where we go, and then we'll submit a report either in writing or come back to a future meeting based on the commission's preference to indicate what we've been able to resolve, where we want to go. Obviously, this issue, you see from how we feel about it, is incredibly important to us, and meeting the commission's expectations is incredibly important to us, and good collaboration is incredibly important to us. And so I would offer that as a path forward. Again, that we would meet with Ms. Sundai and her team in short order to really drill down on this and make sure we get the commission an update.
Thank you, Councilor. And it sounds like, for the record, Ms. Sundai and Councilor Soriano have very similar ideas on how to solve this. Commissioners, any further questions? All right, Mr. Soriano, anything else to add?
No, Chair, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Ms. Sundai. We appreciate your work on this and these matters. And with that, we are going to turn it to number 12. The Information Technology and Gaming Technical Compliance Report. And for that, we're going to turn it over to Christian Tavares. Christian. Good morning still.
Yes, good morning. Thank you, Chairman, and good afternoon to all commissioners. My name is Christian Tavares. I am the manager of the Gaming Technical Compliance team, and I am also joined by Tommy Zen, He is the gaming technical compliance engineer. So the team is responsible for the oversight of the gaming technical requirements and with a focus on the following: certification and verification of electronic gaming device software, certification of property online monitoring and validation system, and finally, information security plan. By using the state's central monitoring system, we're able to validate all electronic gaming devices software and confirm that all software is approved and certified by one of the certified independent test labs. The software is continuously validated on an automated daily basis, and no unauthorized software were identified. The property's online monitoring and validation system is also certified by one of the certified independent test labs. We verified that hash signature of their system, and we determined that their system is also certified. The property is required to submit its annual information security plan. We reviewed the casino's plan and found that PPC is in compliance with the requirements. Over the last 5 years, the central monitoring system observed 79 instances of power blips, brownouts, etc. And in each of these instances, the property worked closely with the state's Network Operations Center and our team to ensure no financial information was missed by the state's central monitoring system. Finally, I would like to highlight that the property has improved its cell signal strength within the building, which we believe is critical for various reasons, such as emergencies, service calls, etc. So in closing, I would like to thank the commissioners for allowing me to present. I would also like to thank the property and their information technology team and compliance team for working closely with our team and ensuring that we have all the information here. Thank you.
Thank you, Christian. Commissioners, questions for Christian? I will say I thank you for explaining what's very complicated to a Luddite like me. So thank you for that report. Mr. Soriano, any questions?
No questions, Chair. I thank Mr. Taveras and the team, and I echo your comments on our ability to have technical discussions with the team and really make sure we're all aligned on the same page. So thank you, Christian.
Thank you.
It is a backbone of our industry. Well, your industry and the industry we regulate. It's more accurate. All right. With that, we're going to turn it to number 13, and that's the Division of Racing Compliance Report. Dr. Lightbound, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. I'm Dr. Alexandra.
Oh, Dr. Lightbound, just so you know.
Pardon?
And I usually am able to fix that by hitting that caret next to mute and then hitting that echo canceling speakerphone on my computer. But I don't know if yours is similar.
What should I hit?
There's a little caret next to the microphone button on the bottom left. And if you click that, look at me, I just called myself a Luddite and I'm doing this. I'm very proud of myself here on camera.
Okay, I clicked it, and what do I select?
Mine is same as system under microphone, and then under select a speaker, it's echo canceling speakerphone, HP Thunderbolt. If you have the same computer I do.
I've got, same as system, click that one.
Yeah, I usually click that one.
Is that better?
And we still have some echo. What about under select the microphone though is what you gotta worry about. Mills, I've reached the end of my knowledge.
Yeah, it seems like Dr. Lightbound might not be near one of those Thunderbolt echo canceling docks. Dr. Lightbound, if there's another microphone option than the one that you currently have selected, I'd suggest selecting that. Otherwise, it might just simply be the microphone in her computer that's causing the echo.
All right, understood.
Is this better?
Much better.
Okay, great. So thank you for having me here today. I'm here to speak about PPC's compliance with the requirements for pertaining to horse racing. Those requirements are found in Chapter 23K, Section 24, regarding casinos that hold live racing under Chapter 128A. The first requirement is that they maintain an existing racing facility, which they do. The second is that this is regarding the first section of before the renewal, that there was a certain number of days that they had to race, and they did do that during the original licensing period. C is that after 3 years of operation, the Gaming Commission can change the number of days in consultation. And so they did do that in the 2020, the COVID year. They did race 68 days. And then since then, they've raced 110, 109, 107, and 108 days last year. These also met their requirements for 128C. They also have a purse agreement with the horsemen, so they meet that requirement as well. They're in compliance with the Chapter 128A and C, which are the racing and simulcasting laws. And they have been applied for and granted racing and simulcast licenses by the MGC for each of the last 12 years. There have been no issues related to noncompliance. They're responsive to our questions. They work collaboratively with the racing division, and they also are in constant communication with us. And Steve and his team are great to work with. The Division of Racing does not have any recommendations for conditions at this time.
Commissioners, questions for Dr. Lightbound? All right. Mr. Soriano?
Now I'm also having audio issues. It's contagious today. My apologies. No questions. Dr. Lightbound, thank you very much. We appreciate working with you on the racing side. We know how much work it is, and so thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Lightbound. And I will note that I always enjoy going to the track and watching the races. A lot of fun. All right. With that, we're on number 14. Oh, and there he is. That's the Division of Research and Responsible Gaming. And for that, we're going to turn it over to Director Mark Vanderlinden.
All right. Thank you. Good morning, Chair Maynard. Good morning, commissioners and representatives from Pine Ridge Park Casino. So I'm Mark Vanderlinden, Director of Research and Responsible Gaming. Today, I will be talking primarily about PPC's responsible gaming efforts. Since Pine Ridge Park Casino opened in 2015, they've maintained a commitment consistent with the Commission's mission to promote responsible gaming, mitigate gambling-related harms. The PPC's responsible gaming plan dated December 30th, 2024 reflects a comprehensive and integrated approach to promoting safer play. Specific areas that I'll cover today are the voluntary self-exclusion program, the voluntary credit suspension program, the Game Sense Information Center, Play My Way, and PPC's responsible gaming plan. So first, voluntary self-exclusion program. The voluntary self-exclusion program provides patrons one means of addressing problem gambling behavior by prohibiting their entrance to the gaming area of the gaming establishment. PPC's VSE procedures reflect requirements of 205 CMR 133 and 23K Section 45F. Voluntary credit suspension. The voluntary credit suspension program allows patrons who do not wish to voluntarily self-exclude one additional option to impose some restrictions on financial access to credit within the casino. While I understand that this is a rarely used option for patrons at Plainridge Park Casino, their policies and procedures reflect requirements of 205 CMR 138.44. The Game Sense Information Center. So at PPC, as you all are aware, the Game Sense Information Center is strategically located just off the gaming floor near the elevators to the parking garage. PPC's Game Sense Information Center offers a welcoming, visitor-friendly space, as well as a private office for more sensitive conversations. PPC provided the Game Sense Information Center in response to a requirement of 23K Section 9A, which specifies that operators provide an on-site space for an independent substance abuse, compulsive gambling, and mental health counseling service to be selected by the Mass Gaming Commission. The Game Sense Information Center at Plainridge Park Casino has been operational since PPC opened, serving both patrons of the casino as well as employees, PPC employees. We appreciate the cooperation of the marketing department, as well as compliance manager Lisa McKinney, to promote the Game Sense Information Center and the services and events that are offered through the Game Sense Information Center. Next is Play My Way, which is a budget setting tool designed to allow players the ability to monitor the amount of money they spend on electronic gaming machines. Play My Way is neither a gaming regulation nor a statutory requirement, but it is a tool consistent with PPC's and MGC's commitment to promoting safer levels of play. The requirements are outlined in an MOU between MGC and casino licensees. In 2014, PPC agreed to be the first casino in the nation to test pilot Play My Way, and it became operational in June of 2015. PPC staff, specifically their technical staff, have been cooperative and an asset in the rollout of and maintenance of Play My Way since that time. In fact, as of April 2025, there have been over 31,000 Play My Way enrollments, and just about a 17% unenrollment rate. And then finally, the Plainridge Park Casino Responsible Gaming Plan. As I said, it was approved on December 30th of last year. PPC's Responsible Gaming Plan has adopted initiatives that address each of the 7 specific strategies within the MGC Responsible Gaming Framework, including training for casino employees, incorporation and adoption of the Game Sense branding strategy and Game Sense information support, Play My Way, implementation of protections for vulnerable and underage populations, responsible alcohol service, and responsible marketing policies. So in conclusion, the Division of Research and Responsible Gaming supports the relicensure and have no findings. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Vanderlinden, and thank you to your team, as well as all the teams at Game Sense. I was down there, I saw Joe Lynn the other day. So, commissioners. Questions? All right, no questions. Mr. Soriano, questions for Director Vanderlinden?
No questions, Chair, other than to thank Director Vanderlinden for the hard work that I know and the passion that he brings to this subject area and really the Commission's attention to this critical issue around responsible gaming. It's a great collaboration that I think we have with everything Director Vanderlinden explained, and we again appreciate the relationship and the collaboration on it.
Thank you, Mr. Soriano. Thank you, Director Vanderlinden.
Thank you.
All right, with that, we're going to turn it over to number 15. We've crossed 12 p.m., so it's afternoon. For that, we are turning it over to the Sports Wagering Division Compliance Report, which is going to be given to us by Andrew Steffen. Steffen.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Plainridge Park Casino launched their retail sports wagering a little over 2 years ago on January 31st, 2023. Since then, they have generally complied with all applicable sports wagering laws and regulations. However, our division has identified 4 notable compliance issues. The first, in February 2023, shortly after launching, PPC offered wagers on Merrimack College men's basketball game. This resulted in a $20,000 fine being issued to the property. Second, in April 2023, after our division conducted a marketing review, it was found a direct mailer lacked a clear option to unsubscribe, and after receiving a non-compliance form, or NCF, PPC promptly updated their marketing materials. Third, following the expiration of a regulatory waiver in November 2023, PPC failed to update their internal controls in a timely manner. Once notified, they submitted the necessary revisions and responded swiftly and appropriately. And then lastly, in January of this year, 2 individuals on the involuntary exclusion list were identified to not be properly flagged in PPC's system. And this matter is currently under review and investigation by the IEB. In conclusion, while PPC has experienced a few regulatory lapses, they have taken swift and appropriate action in each instance, and we fully support the relicensing of PPC and do not recommend any license conditions at this time. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Steffen. Commissioners, questions about their sports wagering? It is wild to believe that it's been 2 years. That I will say. So we had those giant scissors in our hands. All right. Mr. Soriano, questions for Mr. Steffen?
No questions, Chair. I'd like to thank Mr. Steffen and the division. And fun fact, Chair, but you said about 2 years. Today is actually the 7th anniversary of the Murphy versus NCAA decision. So it was May 14th of 2018. So here we are.
I read that in our news report this morning, Mr. Soriano. So it is wild to think that. I think 2018 was yesterday, almost all the time. All right. So with that, we're going to turn it over to number 16, which is the Finance Division's Compliance Report. And for that, I'm going to turn it over to Chief Lennon and his team. Good afternoon, Chief Lennon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. I'm joined by Douglas O'Donnell, and we're here to report on our review of Plainridge Park Casino's compliance with certain requirements of their Category 2 license. Specifically, our report, Exhibit 16, focuses on PPC's compliance over the 5-year term of its second license, with an emphasis on the following: compliance with daily tax reporting, gaming revenue and taxes, compliance with the annual audit, and the payment of the renewal fee. Section 55 of Chapter 23K requires a Category 2 licensee to pay a daily tax of 40% of its gross gaming revenue and 9% of its gross gaming revenue to the Racehorse Development Fund. Taxes are required to be submitted daily under 205 CMR 140. We review the submissions to ensure that they are submitted daily, timely, and accurately. We've set a 100% goal for daily submissions and a 90% goal for timely submissions. We're pleased to report that the licensee has met or exceeded both of these goals as demonstrated in Exhibit 16, page 2. During the second license period, and I'd like to point out that the second license period financials found in your exhibit do not include the months of April, May, and June for the license period, because reporting hasn't happened for those periods, and May and June haven't happened, so we can't report on those numbers. PPC has generated from July 1, 2020 through March 31, 2025, $704.8 million in gross gaming revenue, which generated $281.9 million in taxes and an additional $63.4 million in Racehorse Development Fund funding, for a total contribution of $345.3 million in taxes and assessments to the Commonwealth. 205 CMR 139.07 requires the licensee to have prepared and submitted an independent audit by a certified public accountant of its financial statements related to the operation of its Massachusetts gaming establishment. We're pleased to report that PPC has submitted this report for each of the 5 years in its second license period. Section 20F of Chapter 23K requires the licensee to submit a renewal fee of at least $100,000 prior to the expiration of its license. The commission set that fee at $100,000, and that fee was received and deposited with us on April 9th, 2025. As of now, we do not have any recommendations for additional license conditions and are pleased with Plainridge Park Casino's performance during this time period. That's the end of our report.
Thank you, Chief Lennon, and hello, Doug. Good to see you. Commissioners, questions? Anything to add, Mr. Soriano?
No, Mr. Chairman, other than to thank Chief Lennon and his team as always for their hard work.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief Lennon. Thank you, Doug, and to all the team. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, we have now reached the point of today where we're going to turn the presentation by PPC. Mr. Soriano, please proceed with any comments or presentation you would like to make.
Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. We will be very brief. I think we've and then make ourselves available for questions. I believe based on the information that's been presented in the reports and in the testimony today that we have established by clear and convincing evidence our ongoing suitability and respectfully request that the Commission so find. It really is a privilege for us to be a licensee in the Commonwealth and to work with the Commission really on a daily basis as we strive to be as compliant as we possibly can, recognizing the strict standards that the Commission is charged with enforcing and does enforce. We appreciate the collaboration with the team and with the staff. I did want to make one point for the record, Commissioner Skinner, to your question earlier, and I know there was some discussion that Ms. McKenney had confirmed the DOR process, but I will make that representation on the record that we discussed it during the break. And in fact, if there is a missed DOR intercept, we, the property PPC, makes the DOR whole. So anytime that's a miss, we make sure the DOR gets the funds that the DOR should have got, so the DOR is not out that money. So we just wanted to make that point clearer for the record. I know we did discuss it earlier, but we'll clean up. We just wanted to clean that one up. With that, I'll turn it over to North if he has any additional comments, and if not, we're happy to answer any questions from the Commission.
Thanks, Chris. So as we close out, again, thank you, Chairman Maynard and Commissioners. As we close out, look, we are proud of our record here at Plainridge Park. It's our goal to continually work to maintain the trust and faith that you, our players, and our team members have placed in us. We understand that our license to operate is a privilege, and we will continue to show that same effort in the future. We appreciate the opportunity to share our story with you today, and we're available for your questions.
Thank you, North. Thank you, Mr. Soriano. Commissioners, do we have any questions for the presenters relative to the presentation? Or are there any other individuals we'd like to hear from? I do see Commissioner O'Brien is ready to speak.
I don't have any question, and I'm not doing this to prejudge deliberations, but I just wanted to take the opportunity while everyone was here to thank Penn, not only for the cooperation that you gave in this process, but the process 5 years ago, and then in my tenure here, that it is always a pleasure to deal with everyone at Penn, the professional conduct that you all have as a staff, from RG all the way up, to dealing with us commissioners in terms of meetings, et cetera. And so, again, I'm not, prejudging adjudication and deliberations, but I did want to take the opportunity to, I've said it to you on a number of times. I just wanted to say it once again in the context of the application.
Thank you very much, Commissioner O'Brien. That means a lot. Thank you.
All right, anything further, Commissioners? By the way, this question will come up another couple of times, given the record I have to read in. Justin's shaking his head. So we've now heard all the evidence in this matter. We do have an opportunity for closing remarks. I'm fine if the parties refer back to the remarks they just made. But I would like to make sure one more time that the commissioners don't have any questions, any sensitive or confidential issues anybody would like to explore that would benefit from closing this proceeding to the public under our regulations. Anything sensitive we want to discuss? All right. As I stated, we're going to give an opportunity for closing remarks. The licensee will be afforded an opportunity to make a statement summing up their position, though they need not do so, or they can refer back. Mr. Soriano, would you like to proceed with any closing remarks?
Thank you, Chair. We'll stand on what North and I have just said. Thank you again, commissioners and staff.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Soriano. Thank you, Mr. Groundsel. Unless there are any further matters that the parties or my fellow commissioners would like to address, we will now conclude this portion of the proceeding. Does anyone have anything further?
Mr. Chairman, real briefly, I just wanted to point out for the record, because it didn't happen all at once, that we did convene a public hearing, essentially a listening session in Plainville, and the testimony that we heard at that from community partners and the town representatives of Plainville was very positive, was very encouraged by that. I just wanted to make sure that folks in this proceeding understood we took that step.
That's a good point, Commissioner Broder. And the one thing I never forget is Del Borkevine. So that was a good conversation. He always gives us very entertaining. I just want to echo Commissioner O'Brien's sentiments that we have a good working relationship with North and his team, and Chris and his team. And we appreciate all the work that you've put into this, and the Commonwealth benefits from having your facility in Plainville. And we hear it every time we go down to Plainville, and we hear it from everybody that you interact with. So thank you for that. And again, not to prejudge, but that is something we heard, to Commissioner Broder's point, when we were down there. Anything else? The commission will now deliberate about this matter in private. Commissioners, I believe we're going to stay on. Grace texted me. And for the deliberations. All right. This is concluded. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thanks very much.